Good.
But here we go. We are back with the quarterfinals. The quarterfinals of the Esports World Cup. The beginning of the playoffs even. We are done with the group stage. We are done with the double elimination. We are here with a finalized bracket. We have 8 players remaining. The best 8 players in the world are going to be facing off here at the EWC. We have Serral, Reynor, and Solar as the top 3 Zergs. We have Maru, Cure, and Clem as the top 3 Terran. And we have Hero and Classic as the top 2 Protoss. Here we go. So 3 Zerg, 3 Terran, 2 Protoss. All things balanced, pappy. Let's go. And up first, we have our ZvZ. You can see the bracket here before you. When it comes to the playoffs, as we're getting into this, we have been casting a lot of these matches ourselves in the group stage and leading into this day. But here for the playoffs, I do feel like it would be nice to take a step back and to have more of a reaction stream, I guess. We did this last year, if you remember. Keeping up and enjoying the main commentary, adding our own flavor and thoughts whenever we can.
The 2 best Zerg players in the world going head-to-head like this, 2 former world champions, both of them looking for another world championship. You couldn't ask for a more entertaining draw. I mean, my heart kind of breaks for Team Basilisk, of course. They would love to have this match in the finals. Instead, it's in the round of 8. I feel like it's impossible to predict. If I had to make a choice, I would say 3-2 Serral.
We have 2 minutes before we actually get into the game here, and I really, now that you've made a prediction, I'd love to make Roddy make a prediction, but let's not get to that just
Sure,
yet.
make him make him predict. Make him predict
match. Let's not forget that Reynor, his opening match of this event was a best of 5 against Shin.
Yeah.
Of course, then you talk to your teammate, right, about ZvZ.
Yes.
You cook up a couple plans together, you share your ideas, one person will say what they're fond of, the other one there will be back and forth. They have discussed ZvZ for hours. Of course, Coach Lambo gets thrown in there as well as he hangs out with the boys. They know everything about each other, so there's going to be a lot of mind games. There's going to be a lot of trickery, and what is absolutely worth mentioning is that there was a period where obviously Serral was winning in the beginning. Then Reynor fought back. Reynor got a couple of crazy wins. Then Reynor had a few very solid wins. However, in the last few years, it has definitely once again shifted towards Serral, but it's often been off the back of a very aggressive Serral. Serral is way more aggressive against Reynor than he is against any other Zerg on the planet, and I'm very curious if we're going to see that again today.
Is that a fair assessment?
I mean, Rotterdam's going to know better than anybody in the world, right? And it sounds about right to me. And ZvZ, we've seen like Solar in the past, like years ago when he had his peak in ZvZ, he was winning like 90% of his series, maybe even more for a stretch of like 6 months, a year. And he did it on the back of just non-stop aggression. ZvZ is such a fast-paced matchup. Games can be over in like the blink of an eye.
And that is what makes this one so fun.
So I do like that what Rory brought up, and I would probably echo that as well. If you maybe haven't been watching a lot of StarCraft recently, if you haven't been watching ZvZs with Serral, you might not be familiar. In years past, Serral, he was more of a defensive player, more of a reactive player in ZvZ, and as a result, he would struggle in the matchup quite heavily. I still would echo that I think his weakest matchup is ZvZ, but he does now have a different approach. If you've been watching Serral over the past year of StarCraft, you will know that he is now more hyper-aggressive. Serral is willing to go for all-ins, he's willing to cut corners, willing to cut workers, and be in your face in this matchup and go all in and be hyper-aggressive. So it's going to be a crazy ZvZ. Let's go.
World Championships between these next 2 teammates.
It's about to get personal. They're the 2 players who know each other best at this tournament. It's Basilisk Serral and Basilisk Reynor. After last year's second place finish at EWC, Serral has come roaring back this year with a 2-0 victory over Hero Marine and 3-0 over Classic. He faces an emotionally brutal battle now against his teammate.
With 3 back-to-back World's Finals appearances, and now he goes head-to-head with the one who shares his banner. His every move, his greatest challenge may come from within. 2 worlds collide. 1 makes it through. It's Zerg v Zerg. Who will the Swarm follow? Casters, over to you.
I feel like there was an opportunity for a joke there.
For our first quarterfinals match here at the
One world collides.
Esports World Cup.
It's a Basilisk world. Let's go.
For what should be a
Wardy's casting.
phenomenal Zerg versus Zerg, a best of 5 series. These 2 have been at the absolute top of their game for years now.
So I haven't. God, they got Wardy and Lurker. Okay.
It's an amazing matchup. Anytime these 2
It's
play
fine.
mind games, there is micro,
Let's go.
there is everything you can ask for in a StarCraft 2 match. Even it being ZvZ and a mirror, it's still amazing. And that's
not gonna lie,
a lot of the time.
I was hoping that Lambo would be casting. I don't know if you saw. I was mentioning it when the players were walking in. Lambo, he had his blazer on, like he was looking sharp. I was curious if they were going to drag him on as an analyst or a caster. I do think this would have been the best moment to bring Lambo on as a caster, specifically for these two, just because he knows so much about their play, so much about their practice, their preparation, and just all things Reynor and Serral. Like he would be the ideal here. So I do think it's a missed opportunity, but regardless, it's all good.
From playing a longer game of ZvZ, usually they are the ones deflecting the aggression from the opponents and then eventually overwhelming them. Now, that doesn't mean that they're not going to be aggressive. I fully expect...
I will settle for Lambo coming on as an analyst outside of game.
Maybe we're going to see one of those
I'll settle for that.
drawn-out macro games of ZvZ.
But it's a shame they didn't bring him on.
If it's going to happen in any series, I feel like it would be between these two.
Yes, I mean, honestly, I think so too. And I think there's going to be some short games in here as well. But that's the beauty of ZvZ, right? You got two guys that are amazing in the macro game, but they will have to play tricks on their opponent. They're going to have to play those mind games, and that's going to lead to some very weird-looking games on top of everything else. And that just adds to the fun of watching these two play, because you don't really know what to expect. You don't really know what the next turn is going to be unless you're Lambo, who's talked to them both and figured it out. You know, like...
Yeah, if only he was around to ask.
Because there's so much going on in the minds of these two, and you know their plans may change as well, depending on how game one goes, what happens in game
So when it comes to ZvZ between these two players, we've seen a lot of early Eva Chambers, we've seen a lot of early Roach Warrens as well, so we'll be keeping an eye on the early tech of choice from our players when we get into the games. Eva Chamber timings, Roach Warren timings, third base timings as well. That's what we're mainly going to be looking at. We don't really expect to see like early gas or early pool timings. Not from Serral and Reynor, but I'm ready for it.
And historically, of course, right, Reynor going up against Serral was not that clear-cut of a victory for Serral.
Oh, we're jumping in. Let's go.
Historically, it was Reynor who managed to catch him off guard several times. There's a lot of history here. Not only are these two teammates, they're also good friends. We are loading into the very first game of our first quarterfinals, a best-of-5 series.
You know, it has gone back and forth, but the last 8 meetings for the last 2 years have all gone in Serral's favor, which is kind of crazy.
8 times?
8 times in a row, Serral has bested Reynor, and I mean, that is like a really kind of wild stance because you just don't... I think it should be more back and forth, right? But maybe that is just a case of how good Serral's ZvZ is at the moment. We are ready to go into this team kill as we begin the quarterfinals
not watching enough
of
StarCraft
2 at the Esports World Cup. In the bottom right
gotta lock in.
we are going to be starting with the red Zerg from Basilisk. It is Serral.
His opponent in the top left in the blue, it's Reynor.
And if you're in the chat, you know what time it is? It is Gamba time. Predictions are open. Place your bets on who you think will take the series. Best of luck in the chat.
Looking to see if they can get a third.
It's Gamba time.
A World Cup victory. Reynor, of course, has been hungry to lift that trophy for many years now. Serral, well, widely considered to be the greatest StarCraft 2 player ever, but still, he fell short last
coming into this, I do favor Serral coming into this. I mean, they just mentioned it, right? Serral, he has been the more dominant player between these two in ZvZ. I do, like, coming into this, they were kind of trying to paint the picture that, like, it's been very back and forth between them, but I do think that's only, that's maybe, like quote-unquote historical bias, like, from what we've seen years ago. But again, in recent years, like, it has been a much more dominant showing from Serral. But despite that, we often see, you know, close matches and a back and forth, and I do hope that we have a series here, and Reynor can bring Serral down as well, has it in to do so. Let's go. Let's jump in.
It's absolutely going to be critical. A few seconds here and there can make all the difference. The pathing of the maps is going to change a lot of this as well, because being able to hide certain sets of units coming across the map for as long as possible as well could be a big deal. So things to watch for, but so far, nice, slow, and steady, and mirrored in the early moments here in Game 1.
Is anybody going to cut any corner? We've seen a lot of hidden Evo chambers in this matchup. We've seen quick Baneling nests. Generally speaking, it's followed up with roaches.
Yeah, as they're bringing up, we're also keeping our eyes open for early Eva Chamber, early Roach Warren, early Tech, early third, late third, any kind of big deviation.
It's also one of those setups that I feel like you don't get to practice as much. If you're either of these two players, you know that the ultimate composition is Hydra, Lurker, Viper, but most of the time, like literally 99% of the games, the match ends before that point. And I wonder if we're going to be seeing some experimental gameplay as well if we do end up getting to that state. Either way, Reynor is going to get the slightly faster Baneling Nest, what I'm expecting here. To see Serral planting one down as well in just a moment.
That's a hidden nest, by the way.
Yeah, unless he wants to try and just bypass that and go straight into
Like he's glossing over it, but that's a hidden nest. That's gonna be a Bane bust. He's going for it.
That possibility could be there.
No
so
third.
We will see. A few lings coming up from Reynor as well. Will start.
Reynor, he's committing.
Back at home in the wall, but yeah, he's making a few lings. So
He hides it.
To put some pressure on.
He hides. Do the casters notice?
And that means that Serral's going to be on.
He's going for the flood. He's going all in.
If he gets away with this, then
do they
brilliant,
notice?
The opportunity's definitely there for maybe Reynor to get a.
We need to start freaking out.
Reynor actually just sitting on 22 workers.
Yeah, now he knows.
He is going to try and bring a ton of lings across.
They realized.
Roachborn goes down right now. That Evo
Casters,
chamber at the
please.
front is very likely a fake. Serral has scouted the Evo
It
chamber
is. It's been a
timing. He's
fake for a minute
great.
now.
Now he sees suddenly, though, a massive influx of units, and he is going to have to try and stay alive. I wonder if Reynor's going to jump.
Yeah, no Baneling defense. True. He got faked out.
I think he could just snipe it if he wants to.
We're going to see the Queens coming in for the wall off right here. Join it with the Lings. We are going to see the Lings.
Yeah, no chance to use either. True. Boys are being pulled.
Pull drones, which is fine to lose a few of these.
Where are the Bailings? Where are the Bailings? They're coming in. The Bailings
showing up, and Serral gonna have to deal with this right now. That's a lot of
oh my god!
Crashing in. Yes, goes to hitting the Queens, but as the Queens go down, it's then gonna be Ling Bane versus just Lings. Extra Banes coming in from Reynor as Serral needs to find a defense, but Roaches should be in production now.
Yeah,
does get baited.
Roaches, he's gonna be able to eventually clean this
yeah,
up.
nice snipes, very nice.
He's got a 10-worker lead. If
oh my god!
Stabilize,
Serral
is gonna be phenomenal for him, and even though it looks very edgy,
calm down. He denied all 3 Bailings. That was crazy.
He loses the Queens, yes, but he can rebuild them.
Yeah, the Queen's going down.
Wow.
Scared, right, but you get them back up. The Roach count is here now.
Very impressive defense.
This amount of Lings can get a good enough wrap on these Roaches.
Reynor, he's still all in, by the way. He's still all in. He's not stopping.
Getting caught is a big deal. Roach is going to try and get the Banes early, splitting a little bit, but splitting up gives the Lings.
Very nice splits.
It's a good amount of Roaches. Is it enough Lings? It doesn't really look like it. The Roaches look like they are holding on for the moment. That family gets turned away too. Now some extra Lings show up once again. We're still just streaming Lings from across the map.
Oh, the surround.
Continue to defend very far forward as well, Loco. Continuing to be right out the front.
I think this is one of those classic Serral defenses so far. We've seen him do this time and time again where things look dire, but then ultimately, as the dust settles, he's gotten himself a 10-worker lead, which is absolutely massive.
Well, they look dire. A really important factor here was that the Bailings were late for Reynor, so we actually saw Serral kill a lot of Zerglings early on before the Bailings were really factoring in.
And in the end, I am loving this position right here for the player in the red. Yeah, he lost a lot, but Reynor's
still in.
The additional Banelings
and of course the target firing as well.
It's a big indicator to Serral that this is not
like the target firing was insane from Serral.
Commence once more for Reynor, but I mean every minute that goes by right now, Serral is able to outgrow his opponent.
Yeah, this is amazing for Serral. Reynor is not even on a 3rd hatchery, so he is completely committed. He's completely all in. The fact he's building drones now is already kind of a painful sight for him because it's not meant to be like that. He is getting another Evo chamber in underway as well, but now a Bane Nest comes up from Serral.
All in, the house, the dog, even my wife.
Like, hey, what if I just hit you with Roachling Bane in the face? Can you defend against that after doing this attack against me? I don't know if Reynor would be able to.
Serral has had several minutes here where he's mining like 50% more compared to his opponent, right? Give or take. And it's really going to allow him a lot more supply. You can see that reflected already. He is looking to see if he can capitalize.
So from here, Serral, he's been enjoying a greater economy, a greater economic lead. You can see that Serral, he's not joining. Serral, he's not joining. He's going for a counter all-in. And on the one hand, yes, Reynor, he's now taking a worker lead. But the problem here is that Reynor is droning. He's not making army, which means this push from Serral is designed to kill. He's moving out to kill here and now.
Can be dealt with a little bit by some Balins though, right? If you can get 1 or 2 Banes just left at home and then you go across the map with everything else, it's going to make it so difficult for Reynor to find value with those Lings. He is taking his 3rd hatchery now. I mean, he has to do that, right? He has to go up to that at some point, but that's money investment that's not going to go into units or so right now. He sees the Roach count. Yeah. I mean, Reynor is still building drones. It's tough because I don't even know what units he'd build right now to really help him out in the long term. Roach Roran's not done yet. Realistically, this is just...
And here comes Serral. So he's sending everything across the map. 2 base will land at Serral, the 3rd hatchery just for larva.
Reynor starting this game off with an all-in is now forcing his opponent into an all-in. Serral here needs to deal critical damage, but I like his chances way better than the chances that Reynor had.
I mean, Reynor was droning. That's the problem here. Reynor was droning. Reynor he was macroing up. He's not ready for this.
I think just a few Zerglings
And he shouldn't be.
Split off is exactly right. He's got Banelings of his own. It's pretty much Lings for defense here. How in the world is Reynor going to be able to defend this?
Well, he just doesn't, does he? The Lings can try, but there's going to be Banelings to fall.
Oh, God.
Just in case we needed some extra help.
Calm down, Serral. Calm down.
Through. The spines will do absolutely
He's
nothing.
your boy.
GG gets called. Serral with a killer attitude in game number 1.
Yeah, GG, well played. I really liked the builds of Reynor, by the way. He had a really quirky build. Winding it back, the reason why it was as close as it was is because Reynor, he hid the Baneling Nest, as we pointed out. It took them a while to realize, but he hid the Baneling Nest further back in his main base, so it made it look like he was playing 2-base Roach. That's why he had no third base. That's why Reynor didn't have a defensive Baneling Nest either, because he believed it was 2-base Roach. Back at home, we saw it was a late realization what was happening, but Serral had some crazy unit control despite having no Banelings to defend, despite losing his queens as well. He was able to buy enough time for his Roach Horn, buy enough time for his Roaches, and even before that, he was able to focus down those Banelings. I do think that Reynor was a little bit premature with his attack, either premature with the attack or he was late with his Banelings. Because if you remember, he fought with his Lings for quite some time before his Banelings were done morphing before they can really factor into the game. By the time they did, by then he had bled out a lot of Zerglings, he had bled out a lot of supply, and Serral he was able to pull off that defense. But that was still a crazy build though, and GG. GG.
Just a spot on defense, and Serral, like I say, just a stone cold win in game number 1 for him. Just solid. And I love the choice as well. He's just like, cool, that was such a good opening. I don't need to do anything fancy. I don't need attack. I'm just going to spam units. And he just knew, wait. And at this point, there's no way you can
game 2, Persephone, let's go.
I'm going, and I'm going to win.
Alrighty, next up, game number 2. It looks like we are loading up on Persephone. A very normal map, a map that's been very popular over the last few months, and usually quite a straightforward macro game, but there are some funny features with that healing shrine, the gold base at the 3 o'clock position. I'm not sure exactly if either player is going to be able to make much use out of those 2 features there, but spawning right here in the bottom left-hand corner, the man 1-0 up, we have Serral.
And in the upper left-hand side, the blue Zerg is going to be Reynor.
For Basilisk. Now, once again, just like the previous game, we're looking for Evo Chamber timings, Baneling Nest timings, Roach Horn timings. We're looking for that tech.
Go ahead and do so. Now, historically, Serral has always been very defensive, right? And historically, sometimes those Mutas have given him trouble. But these days, with the way that the Hydralisk works out, a lot of Zerg players have been skipping Mutas altogether, and it can be quite difficult to get up to that tech. I wonder if, like, the overall game plan for ZvZ is just leaning better into what Serral enjoys doing the most in this matchup. He enjoys defending and just protecting his bases as best to his abilities, and yeah, I think he's able to just kind of, he's got this aura, right, where he just kind of deflects everything you throw at him, and I think this matchup is no different these days.
I think what Loco's talking about here, it sounds very outdated. We mentioned earlier that if people start talking about how defensive and how macro-oriented Serral is in ZvZ, that's very like 2022, like 2023 era StarCraft. In recent years, I mean, we even saw it last game where, yes, Serral, he was the defender, but only because he got faked out, only because he didn't realize what was happening. And even then, Serral turned that defense into an offense and went for an all-in. Like, he went for a counter all-in in the last game. Maybe a Serral years ago wouldn't have done so, but here Serral, he's a little more decisive, a little more aggressive in this matchup, which is what we saw in that last game.
Every single game is exciting here because
which is what we expect out of Serral.
Aggression switch is going to flick on for one of these players. Like, it's really open in ZvZ generally, and I really feel like both these guys can kind of flick the switch and be like, yep, you know what? It's time to build the Roaches, build the Lings, and we're just going without going for any further tech.
Yeah, and you can hear Wardy, he's bringing it back, and he's also saying, he's being like, yeah, you know, with what you're saying, true, but also, like, both players are willing to be hyper-aggressive. So Wardy, he's trying to recenter it there, which is good.
Just kind of have that super high APM, and at this stage in the match, it is mostly just warm-up. There's obviously a lot of double-checking going on. At some point, you can't really be double-checking anything anymore, and you have to just rely on your
third base for Reynor.
First action instead. But that is not to say that Serral is...
So this time, standard openers for both players.
speed just coming up here from both of us. You get to see the production tab again. This time you'll see a Baneling nest on both sides. So Serral not trying to skip past the Banelings here. And of course, Reynor already reaching drone heights, which he never found in the first 5 minutes of the last game. So we are going to have third hatches coming through. Everything is not exactly mirrored, but the general consensus is that they're doing the same thing for the moment. A couple lings on either side, they will get cleaned up. We'll wait to see again where, not just where the aggression switch kind of gets turned on, but if anyone kind of swerves away from doing what the other is not, right? So we'll see what the plan may be very soon. For now, lings back and forth. And game 2 of this quarter final continues on.
Serral going for a Baneling Nest this time around. I'm always curious to see those small little deviations. Why did we not go Baneling Nest in the previous game? And then in this one, even though everything looks mostly the same.
Lurker's asking why we didn't see a Baneling Nest last game. If you remember, the reason why there was no Baneling Nest is because the Baneling Nest for Reynor was hidden, and it looked like Reynor was going 2-base Roach because there was no third. So there is an answer to that. Like there's the reason why Serral went for a Baneling Nest here is because it's a standard opener this time. This time it's a third base. So again, just as a reminder, just to on that point, last game Reynor faked 2-base Roach. That's why there was no Baneling Nest for Reynor. This time there's no fake out.
Baneling could be very annoying if it does manage to get through and get a good connection. Queen going to be surrounded for a second, but
nice target firing.
Going down, the lings are able to come back through. Defense made as the +1 missile starts from Reynor and Carapace from Serral. So 2 different choices at this stage. Carapace means you're going to play a little bit more ling heavy as Serral, because you're then going to have Carapace on lings and Roaches. That typically turns into a more timing-based play. +1 missiles is much more standard for just lair, Roach speed, playing out that kind of Roach Ravager game into the mid-game. So we'll see exactly what the next step is, but it does kind of feel like Serral may be the one who kind of picks up the aggression here.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm with you. Serral also delayed.
Yeah, I'll just have to echo what Wardy just said. Because of Carapace, this feels like Ling Ravager, right? It feels like Ling Ravager out of Serral, which is a little more aggressive.
Really needs to get value early. There is a second Evo chamber for Serral. He could go double upgrades, but I think it's
nice
just
scout.
Wall off. Although we'll have to see with the structure finishing if he decides to start up.
Oh, it's a hidden Evo chamber.
He's really just
He's going for it.
Skipping the lair, and he is going straight into what looks like a Roach Ling Bane push.
It should be Ling Ravager, but regardless.
It's his turn to get aggressive in this series, apparently. As the lair will finish from Reynor, he's stepping out on the map. With
and again, this goes in line with what we said at the start of the series and at the start of this game. Serral's going all in. Serral's going all in, and again, this is what we something that we expect more from Serral in recent years in ZvZ. Going for Mutas! He's crazy!
Right because that's so far away, and Serral's attack is coming in the next minute or so.
Yeah.
The Spire is not going to.
And yeah, there's a Ling Ravager. Ravager's morphing in.
Building.
The goal is the Lings surround the Roaches and the Ravagers pile them down. Like this is straight up all in here by Serral. He hid the Eva chamber, and this is a big mystery here out of Reynor. He's running down spine crawlers.
Absolutely. Even when the Roaches are already in your base, Mutas are nice because they technically can't be attacked, but they're still just so slow at cleaning up this type of aggression.
Spines are halfway done.
Serral has decided to send everything that he's got towards the other
Reynor
side
needs
of the
more
map. He's
time.
dropping his gas on additional,
He needs time.
corrosive biles here in just a moment, right? With those Ravagers getting morphed in. Wouldn't be surprised to see additional
They're gonna
Banelings,
finish.
But this is Serral ready to go and to see if maybe he can obtain the victory right here, right now.
He's going to dive the Lings down the right side where there's going to be a lot less Roaches. The Lings going to do that thing. There's a lot of Spines that have come into play here. Corrosive Biles, some friendly fire right there. We got to get those Biles onto these Spine Crawlers, right? Otherwise, those Spines are just going to do so much throughout this. Reynor making Serral run through this choke point, making him have to take a very slow access point here. And Serral is realizing this is not going to go very far. So he's starting up his +1 missiles. He's starting up a lair. He's starting up a future. There's still, you know, grabs he can make. He gets rid of the Roach Warren, but he knows he's not going to win the game off of
Oh, he
this.
canceled!
Now Reynor throws the Spire down behind it, realizing he's going to have time to get that set up. And Serral, if he doesn't identify that, he's in trouble. He's already down on workers. He will start building a few now. But yeah, it's going to give Reynor a great opportunity to really just successfully get into Mutalisks.
Yeah, Serral, he's in a rough position. Serral is behind. Serral, the all-in has failed. He fails to break the bases. Really nice timing here with the Spine Coolers. Unfortunately, Reynor did cancel the Spire, but now he can get into it.
Here too. Those corrosive biles still need to be dodged. Man, he's got so many spines actually. There's 5 of them in total right now.
He's still going for it.
I think Reynor has this defense in the bag, and that means that very soon it is going to be his turn to be aggressive. The Roach Warren has been rebuilt. Mostly what I'm looking at right now, though, is the Spire. They're all hoping to get some lucky Baneling hits there on the mineral line, but that also gets deflected. So it's a very different attack than the one that we saw from the previous game. We even dodged the corrosive vials here in the middle of the map too. But as far as strategies go, as far as being the aggressor goes, both players are taking turns so far in this series.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Serral, the all-in has failed. He does scout the main base. He sees the Spire. He responds to the Hydrogen. Unfortunately, Reynor did have to cancel the Spire earlier, but Reynor, he's looking in a really strong position here. He's had more mining for longer, and now he's started meter production.
That is Reynor's lead going to be diminished, right? So that's something to watch on. Overlord's going down. Supply block is nice. Serral doing what he can with this army, which is with the map control, just taking what is out there. 4 meters coming up. Because it's been scouted, I don't think Reynor will ever go into many, but you always want to make a few because pushing back Overlord is going to be nice. The map control and forcing any kind of a reaction is always going to be a bonus.
Absolutely. Serral, though, has caught up in the worker count quite nicely, and he's now using that second evolution chamber as well. So despite the fact that Reynor has an advantage, it's not a very significant one, and it's sometimes easy to overestimate your spot, your position in the game right now. Keep in mind, he made all those spines. The spines are great for defense, but you can't really use them aggressively here. He does grab the map control right now, so Serral is not going to be able to really move out as easily anymore. I like that.
Nice contamination.
The Overseer is going to go... No, apparently not. 5 HP is all you need. As long as it's above 0, that's all you need. But yeah, if you can get a council on a 4th, that would be big. So far, though, I mean, this is the type of game that can slip out of your fingers.
He's saying that, again, there's a reason why Reynor's maxed. Reynor's maxed out. This shows the lead that Reynor's had throughout the course of this game after the failed all-in, and now it's time for Reynor to break through, to rally everything across the map and to break the third base. It's going to be a tough hold for Serral. Not impossible, but it's going to be a difficult defense nonetheless.
Just going to as many roaches as possible, and this +2 missile attack time.
It's go time.
It's going to be a little bit scary. There's a lot of units. Let's see if Serral can pull off a defense. A few links trying to hit elsewhere at the same time on the picture-in-picture. Corrosive Vials going to force Reynor to step forward, but those Vials do get a couple of connections at least. Now Serral eating some Vials as well, losing Hydras in the background, and you can just see that Reynor's army is standing strong. He's just going to keep on overwhelming on the left, on the right. He's winning every single fight,
GG.
and he's winning this game to tie
GG.
us up 1-1.
GG, well played. Again, this came down to the all-in from Serral. He went for +1 carapace. I did notice someone in the chat asking about it, about +1 carapace. That is the Solar all-in. If you've been watching Solar over the past couple of years, if you watch Solar versus Serral, for example, back in WTL, or even before that, Solar was very fond of this. He was very fond of this. I think the Europeans do call it like the Solar build or the Solar all-in. It's basically a Ling Ravager all-in, which, again, Serral did attempt. Thankfully, Reynor, he did scatter ahead of time, or he saw the aggression coming ahead of time, and he threw down 5 spine crawlers, and they finished up just in time. They finished up just in time for the defense. He also canceled the Spire just in case, just to afford extra units, and from there he snowballed out of control. GG. GG, well played. I don't blame Serral for going for it. It can be a very difficult build to defend against, and it has killed Serral many times in the past as well, in those Serral versus Solar matches.
To have to then potentially set up, deal with Mutalisks, get into the next step, and go from there as well, right? So, just very well played. Serral had a great defense game 1. Reynor has a good defense game 2. Defense winning this series so far.
Absolutely. It's one of those strategies, right? Very frequently, if you're going up against weaker opponents, you might be able to obtain the victory.
And to be honest, like, it looked like this all-in was going to work as well. If you remember, Reynor was being really greedy. You can see here he's almost up 20 workers. Like, he's heavily ahead in drones, but the spine crawlers were a big factor when it came to the defense. Not just spine crawlers, but when it comes to Ling Ravager, when it comes to this all-in, you want to fight out in the open. You want to surround the army. You want to lock it down. Because Reynor realized what was happening, he was able to fall back and actually have his defense with his side defense back at home to make sure he didn't get surrounded. What I'm getting at, he wasn't caught out in the open. He wasn't caught out in the open. He had that defender's advantage. He had his back against his hatcheries, back against the wall. GG.
At this stage in a game.
Solid game. Solid game.
Are they setting up their structures? Do you notice that they are skipping some important researches? Is it possible for you to maybe abuse it in another match in this particular series? Maybe either
one solo GSL, yeah.
Something important here, but there's no denying that these first 2 games have been very back and forth, and the defensive player has won 2 out of 2 times.
Indeed. I wonder
he was not caught with his pants down.
Have their turn kind of pulling out some
crazy,
attack, right? Is it going to be a choice at this stage to say, hey, look, you know what we can do? Like, maybe it's time where they do settle into some of those macro games, right? Where, you know, being the aggressor is not necessarily working out, so maybe it is time to settle down. Let these games go a little bit longer. Let that build on through. As tensions rise here in the quarterfinals, heading to a game 3, we are all tied up between 2 world champions of StarCraft 2. Serral, the 2-time, Reynor, had 3 back-to-back finals. Really a lot of history with these guys. only one of them can make it to the final.
Found someone in me selling Inca-Cola. Let's go. Let's go.
Over the next few games, as Reynor is back in his seat, headphones are back on.
La cola, papi.
Launching into this game 3, I imagine, very short.
Reminder, this is also an elimination match, so the loser of the series is out of the tournament. It's a quarterfinals, so that means that everything matters right now, and every map is important, as we are now indeed loading onto the 3rd map of the series.
Yeah, Tokamak, let's go.
Yes, we are. Coming on through. Very
One of the
exciting.
larger maps,
It's
more macro.
Intense, man. Like, I'm sat here in the cast seat, I'm just like, I'm shaking a little bit for them. Like, you know how much is on the line, because either of these players have to
Shout out to the
potentially go
Moopies.
through and win it all, right? Like, at the end of the day, both of these guys are incredible. They could absolutely go the whole distance. This is just the first hurdle they have to jump through in the playoffs as we get into the top right-hand corner of Tokamak here for Game 3 from Basilisk. It is Serral.
And his opponent, his teammate, and his friend in the bottom left, it's Reynor.
For Basilisk. The Italian Zerg. Let's go.
I wonder, for both of them, who their practice partners were going into this tournament, right? Because do you really want to be practicing with one of your main competitors? Yes, you're probably going to get your best practice off, but you also really don't want to.
They probably weren't practicing with each other, most likely.
Right now.
It's definitely very interesting because there's not exactly a lot of top Zergs to practice with.
Especially in Europe, right? It's difficult to.
Well,
I mean,
Reynor was in Korea, so
yeah, Reynor was in
get
Korea.
some Zergs there, but like even then, it's like a very limited choice. It's one of the unique parts of this kind of later stage of StarCraft 2's life cycle, right? Where the player count is not as high as it used to be at the super high level. So getting that practice in is not easily found. Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I remember the days of ZvZ when even there was a lot of Zergs in Europe and they were like, we don't practice ZvZ, we know which builds we can use, and we just kind of throw them at each other. Yeah, that was a big talking point way back when.
Absolutely. I'm sure Lambo has been helping him out quite a bit. But there's no denying that it's a difficult matchup, especially for late game. I really think early and mid game are really well figured out because it's just the type of game that we see quite frequently. But I'm hoping here, as a fan of StarCraft, we're going to see like a very long, drawn-out macro game too. And this might just be the map for it. It's not a very easy map to be hyper-aggressive on. Usually, this is a bit more of a laid-back approach.
Kind of. I mean, I agree in the general sense that Tokamak, we speak about this all the time, right? Like, this is the most macro map in the map pool. It's the most defensive map as well. But ZvZ is in a unique place where aggression and all-ins are very, very common. They're very common in this matchup, and it's very rare to see late-game ZvZ nowadays. We have seen them in map pools past, like Gressvan. Gressvan, we saw a lot of late-game ZvZ, but in current meta, it is very much so a rare sight. For those that are curious, late-game ZvZ is Lurker versus Lurker, Viper versus Viper, if we can ever get there.
Grabs the hatchery, and likewise here as well for Reynor, who grabs his own here too. We've come up on 50 gas for a Baneling Nest. We'll probably see at least one of them. There we go. Reynor planted.
We should be seeing both.
A little bit greedy with that in the first game, where he decided to skip it in favor of a faster Roach Warren. Technically, that sounds risky, but he showed us that you can still defend with just Queens and then Zerglings initially, as you have a quicker follow-up into Roach.
Hoping he stops talking about game one about that, because there was reasoning for that. Like, there was reasoning for that. Serral is skipping, Baneling's going for Ling Flood. Let's go!
Likely going to not be, well,
he's going for the Ling Flood. The observer notices.
16 Zerglings right now.
He is. This is pretty typical when you kind of go for the later Bane Nest, because if you can force aggression on the other side of the map, it doesn't let Banelings come across to you aggressively, right? So when you're not playing defensively, if you don't have Banes yourself, you don't want to be like pushed back in your natural, having to split away and pull back. Bane's running at your mineral line, so being the aggressor here is fine. He's going to drone behind this, and you're going to start seeing those drone counts kind of ping-pong back and forth. And we do see the Bane Nest obviously coming up from Serral eventually too. There's a good amount of Lings here, and Reynor has to be careful.
Baneling's finishing up.
Damage. He is losing some Banes as Lings
gets into the main
base as well. Cute little
okay.
From Serral. This little split up you don't see super often, so Serral going to be in two places, but Reynor's going to handle it very well. The Lings in the main do nothing. The Lings on the third are going to get turned around as well. Beautiful defense. Now Serral has a slight worker lead that Reynor will work on patching up as well. Serral will have to make a few defensive Banes and a couple extra Lings to make sure he can hold on as well.
Yeah, nice defensive by Reynor. As we were mentioning, Serral does force a reaction at Reynor. Serral now is up in workers. Serral rushing to a faster Roach Warren as well. But now it's time for Reynor to counterattack.
Reynor though overmade defenses, which is usually how this tug of war goes in the matchup. He decides to now go in for the counter attack, and it does now give him.
Brutal connection. He gets in.
Actually put in a lot of work. He needs to be careful though. The body blocking there right there by Serral.
Oh my god.
Strong. Trying to get a good hit in with his own defensive banelings. A couple of lings in the natural mineral line there too. It looks like Serral is deflecting them quite well. A little bit of damage done, but really not nearly as much as it could have been.
That first bailing shot just looked dangerous, didn't it? It felt like a lot went down all of a sudden.
Yeah, really nice damage there from Reynor. Oh,
but the Danes carry so much weight right now.
Trades well, catches up
on both sides. Serral building a few drones though, and Reynor is building only roaches. Serral obviously took a dip in his economy there, running a couple of drones away and having to deal with that attack. And now it's Reynor going all out on the offensive with the unit production. Lings and roaches on the way up. He will start +1 missiles behind it, but I mean, right now it feels like he's got an astounding amount of units to maybe go and poke early.
Yeah, as Wardy is mentioning here, we're cutting workers. Reynor, he's cutting workers, he's going for the all-in, he's flooding everything across the map.
This many units defensively would be way too many, so he's going to once more go across the map. Curious to see if we're going to see drones here for Reynor on the production tab as a follow-up, or if he really is hoping to maybe, well, get rid of his opponent right here, right now. It's a lot of links, but those banelings are used as zoning tools very nicely.
Yeah, doing a great job with the banelings, and the roach is just about getting rid of one finally here from Reynor. Serral obviously has the short reinforcing distance. These lings need to get involved, otherwise it's just roach on roach, and Serral will get the advantage just because of reinforcing distance. Like, Reynor has a lot of lings, and they're just not being that useful.
Yeah, he can't engage.
Defensively up in the main base, I believe that is for Serral, and yeah, he loses a few drones, but the defense was made. Reynor did start droning behind this. Serral just started up 2 layers. Need to fix that because that's some gas you could definitely spend elsewhere as the roaches continue their defense, and Serral has held on for now. But yeah, that's a chunk of gas we could use elsewhere for sure.
Yeah, really impressive bailing control there by Serral. As they were pointing out, Lings, they were trying to engage, they were trying to buffer for Reynor to collapse into the roaches, but the Lings, they just could do nothing. The bailing's doing a great job here at zoning, and with that, Serral, he holds, he defends.
He's got that supply advantage. He managed to catch up in the worker count very well and is now even 15 workers up. Or sorry, no, he's even on workers. He's 15 supply up in army here over Serral. So I'm liking this position for Reynor a lot, but it's very difficult to actually capitalize on it, right? Like, you look at the game now and you know you've got a very good army compared to your opponent, but the defender's advantage here for Serral is just so nice.
Oh, going for the mutas.
Obviously a little bit unsure. He's
going for the Spire.
So he's not feeling 100% confident in defending. And the Spire is not exactly what he wants to be building when we can see that Reynor's going into the Spire again. A few lings slip by, that Queen not getting into position, so panic stations for a couple of seconds. And Reynor has been great at just getting a little bit of damage done here and there with those Zerglings. Those Ling run-bys have been very effective, and he's going to continue it here. The Ling's going to try and hit the mineral line while the Roach Ravager pushes at the front, and it's another 5-6 drones. And this is a big deal. Like, Serral's down 20 workers all of a sudden, and while he spends time rebuilding workers, Reynor is setting up to throw Mutalisks into the mix, and I don't know if Serral's going to be set to deal with that.
No Hydra then, no Spore Crop.
Yeah, the problem here is that Serral, he just lost a bunch of workers. He's re-droning, so even though he is being active on the map, he's droning up behind this, so he's no intention of committing. And because he's not committing, that means that Reynor should get away with these mutas.
A move out like this is going to give him an opportunity to force out more roaches out of the opponent. So that at least is some of the gas dumped, and that means that less mutas are going to pop up as soon as that Spire finishes. Good scout for Serral, actually. Very important scout, because it allows him to now respond to the potential muta threat with a Hydralisk Den instead. And, well, I mean, this looks like a very similar situation as what we've had in the previous game. Reynor has had full map control here for a while already, and he's just slowly starting to outgrow his opponent.
Yeah, he is. He's beaten the advantage, right? He's had the worker leads at certain points. And I imagine it's going to be a similar vibe. The Spire gets scouted, so you make a few mutas, you force your opponent to respond, you force him to pull Overlords back, and then bam, you max out quickly on the roaches, you take your eco advantage from earlier, and you just hit hard, and you can spam units where your opponent obviously has to...
Yeah, as he's pointing out, like, even though Serral, he saw the Spire, he's reacting really hard with Hydras. Meanwhile, Reynor, he only makes enough mutas to harass, to hunt down Overlords, and he's doubling down on mass Roach Ravager.
Really silly. So it's a tough little scenario here. Can Serral find the defense that he wasn't able to make last time? This time the numbers are a lot closer together still. Reynor only made a couple of these mutas, and they're just going to
Reynor has momentum.
Hunting. I think that means that Serral will just go purely into the roaches from here on out. You can see Reynor invest into the Bane speed. He had that start up earlier, cancelled it, starts to gain now, maybe expecting a few more Hydras. I don't know how effective it's going to be. Now, you can still use Banes against roaches. If you max out with Roach Ravager Bane, your army in one big push is going to be more powerful than just a Roach Ravager force. but it does really have that explosive attitude to it where it's one big bang and after that it fizzles a bit.
You're absolutely right. Both players approaching a maxed out state. Reynor, however, getting there a little bit earlier, and that means that he can begin that bank a little bit quicker too. A lot of sport callers, by the way, coming up for Reynor, who may be predicting that the opponent is the one going for a big Mutalisk transition.
Oh no, he's going for the trick. Let's go.
Wow. Say, that seems odd. All of them in the natural expansion. He basically cancelled them just to get some additional Zerglings out.
We have not seen that in a long time, but...
So, it's really important that Wardy brought up the Ling Bane Roach Ravager setup here, and because of that overmax, here it is, 34 Banelings on the way. It's going to be a massive army for Reynor. Reynor, he's looking to just shut Serral down. That's 34 Banelings.
The Bane's had so much army value in this one attack.
So again, a really good read by Wardy ahead of time.
His army's just not going to be comparable, really. Now, of course, he still has the defense advantage. He's going to have the pre-split, and he just needs to be as spread out as possible. Here we go.
Oh, he's going for it.
Oh, no. He clumps up, and the Banelings are going to start crashing through. Has to pull back to defend against them. Bane's going to try and get some of the Ravages. You can just see Reynolds able to...
Yeah, he just overwhelms. He completely shuts us down.
Protofile's not landing just yet.
Oh, my God.
Taken down by that round of Banes, and Serral is retreating backwards as Reynor has won this fight for now.
Yeah, that was insane. Serral not expecting that whatsoever. Reynor suddenly shows up with a whole lot of Banelings on the other side of the map. He still has that defender's advantage though, and it's easy for Reynor to overextend, but Reynor is also sending a ton of his own units now. His reinforcements
yeah, he does overextend.
the map and are going to be showing
Reynor's going to calm down.
Reynor forced to kite backwards for now. His reinforcements though are on the left of this fight.
Yeah, I think good job by Serral.
Yeah, and from here, Reynor, he now takes that massive supply lead. He took the big fight. He shut down all the Hydras. From here, he can just rally. He can just rally in, and it's going to be a tough hold for Serral. He should not be able to hold on here. He's down to a couple of Roaches, a couple of Queens. He has some Transfuse. He has the defender's advantage, but Reynor, he just has numbers on his side.
Having to use the Queens to defend as well. Can Serral pull off a defense here? He does have 2-1 to just +1 upgrades. That may be the changing difference if there is one, but right now, numbers are doing it.
Oh, the Muta.
Reynor is trying to see if he can potentially snowball this right now. These upgrades are nice, but when you don't have enough units to really benefit from it, you might not be able to get the value. Serral maybe just pulling off one of those miraculous.
Barely holding on. Serral
somehow, some way, despite being like 30-40 supply down during a lot
the
of
upgrades, the clutch transfuse. Okay.
Managed to hold on, Wardy.
He does indeed. The upgrade pulled in a big part of the...
That's crazy.
He had the Carapace upgrade he built earlier, and then he had that +2, which finished up sooner as well. Serral with a magnificent defense, and he will hold on. I know. I think it was honestly just the way he approached the fight. He pulled back, he took the slightly better concave, he did not let Vials connect, and he just pulled his Queens in to be any additional help that they could be. And it was just about enough in the end. He now gets to rebuild in this game from fairly similar setups. There is going to be one difference, and that's just a few extra drones in the favor of Reynor. Serral still has a Carapace upgrade on his side, but he's also going to have some Hydras mixed in here, which can be a really fun backline to add into all of it.
I think that's exactly right.
The Hydras are going to be a big factor just because this time there are no Banelings, right? We saw Banelings completely shut down the Hydra army that we had previously, but that was only because Reynor was super maxed. Now he doesn't really have that available to him, and now these Hydras, they can actually be quite impactful in the next fight. Okay, we have a game.
Barely. Important right now, though, for Reynor to not overestimate his situation. I think he's still ahead. But I feel like this is one of those spots where you may just think, oh, I'm really far ahead. I mean, I've been winning every single engagement. That previous fight certainly looked like a win, but it doesn't really look like one if you look at the grand scheme of things right now. Serral, though, still not really in an opportunity or a position to really go across. Hydra then coming up here for Reynor. You know what? We may actually be going into some lurker playing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the natural next step, right? If you've got Hydras out, hit the lurkers, and fighting lurkers without lurkers is extremely difficult to do.
Yeah, the problem here, we can't see the production tab, but Serral, the correct move from him is to thread down the lurker den and to start taking towards lurkers and to get a greater army. And Reynor is behind in that form of tech.
Just attention paid, and that's the sort of thing you're looking for at this point of a game as well, right? Where just the little.
But we didn't see the production tab, so I don't think Serral has a a lurker den. I don't think.
Serral just getting a few drones here. Some of his own harass finally landing those roaches.
Wait, does he not have an infestation pit? Like Reynor, he's teching because he's trying to catch up.
Okay. Hive start at the same time as each other.
Pit is done.
It's very fun to see the Hive starting up right now. Not yet a lurker den for Serral, but I'm expecting one here in just a moment. Alternatively, you can go into a whole lot of Vipers to try and abduct the opponent's lurkers. You can also try and corrosive ball them down with Massive Ravager. But generally, okay, there we go. Lurker Dens indeed are countered by Lurker Dens. You need to go for a similar unit composition. Still though, the fights are not over yet. And as the roaches are still available now, I'm expecting to see them for a little bit longer, but at some point they'll probably get replaced with Mass Hydra instead.
Reynor out of position.
See it, right? Serral has been very liberal with just throwing these roaches across the map, and he's doing very well, right? To throw an array roach supply, again, a bunch of drones like this, mining time being lost, it's exactly what you want because it means that you're losing the supply and getting value out of it. Although he is actually building some roaches behind it too, and yeah, there's Hatch now in trouble.
That's a kill.
Play Hydra Lurker
it's a kill, not a cancel.
You really are aiming for at least 10 gas geysers, and getting the cancel or the kill on your opponent's 5th base like that is huge. Serral, in the meantime, trying to grab his own in the top left-hand corner. Reynor doesn't yet know of it. It's not particularly early, but it really does help if you have 10 gases, because then you can go not just for Lurkers, but also for Vipers. +3/+3 upgrades, also super valuable, but it's difficult to really balance it all.
Yeah, it really is just so much you can spend your money on right now, figuring out what is best. We're also playing catch-up on upgrades, right?
Yeah, I think what's crazy here is that, again, Serral, he's done such a really great job at recovering this game, pulling Reynor apart, closing that gap, catching up from the otherwise deficit that he had. Both players working towards 3-3, both players working towards Lurkers. Still someone in the chat saying, like, oh, like, looking for, like, a 30-minute game. Nice contamination on +3, by the way. Very nice. Jesus. But we're not there yet. Like, we're working towards Lurkers. As you can see, the armies are still being very active. There's still a lot of trades happening, still a lot of engagements, and the game still may end suddenly here, depending on the setup.
Still trying to chase those units down.
Collapsing in the army.
By the way, heal very quickly when they are underground.
Oh, here come the roaches.
Maybe he can get a bit of a wraparound on the opponent's army. Overseers, though, are going to show it off. Here's the corrosive balls on those lurkers. That's maybe why he decided to go adaptive talents first. It's way easier to dodge those corrosive biles. Serral trying to see if he can maybe get a repeat kill on the floor or in the
Ooh, bleeding out a lot of roaches. That's a lot of roaches being thrown away.
Afraid of the counterattack that's coming across the map. He leaves a lot of roaches here in a losing fight, and Serral is kind of getting jumped on a little bit.
Reynor.
Reynor finding the better split of units. Can Serral punish this? Pulling back so much should allow him to do a lot. And it's actually Reynor's supply that plummets. He is just not rebuilt yet. Hydra's now on the way as the replacements come through. Spinecrawler helping, but Serral will chase down. I was like, oh my god, it really felt like Serral could have had the 5th base, but he identified how important it was to come back and
Reynor is coming in. Is anything in position? Oh, there is.
The danger of it.
Yeah, Serral actually going full into roaches again here for a little bit. I thought that the age of the roach was mostly over, but apparently we need to keep dancing. As long as the opponent is attacking like this, you can't really go...
Yeah, the problem is you can't make lurkers too heavily if your opponent's being aggressive like this. So you have to make the roaches. You have to commit to this kind of more mobile army. If your opponent backs off, if you have some breathing room, then you can morph in a wave of lurkers. And we can see there are 8 lurkers on the way for Reynor.
A lot of damage here. I like this position for Reynor better, though.
Just because the lurker count?
Yeah, the lurker count is looking really nice, and the upgrades as well.
I feel like Serral just likes all the avenues of attack he has
God.
right now, right? I mean, he does already have that 5th base up if he wants to use it, but he's just not taking it.
I think he can go. I think Reynor has a window right now to potentially attack, and I think Serral also knows this. He decides to now be the aggressor, but he needs to be careful that he does not accidentally get trapped in the corner.
The run-bys continue.
Working away in a mineral line. I believe that is in the bottom right-hand corner. He's now also sending the other half of his units towards
Reynor out of position.
Third.
Oh, the lurkers!
Oh my god, he's
god.
chasing a huge chunk of the units of Serral in the top left.
Yeah, that lurker group in the center was huge defensively. Serral has to get 20 new Hydras on the way out. He's going to have to turn and fight right here, but you mentioned it, right? It's going to be difficult. The lurkers do manage to unburrow there. He stepped back into the corrosive bile, unfortunately, but do we have detection? There's the Overseer showing up now. Having the lurkers there is such a pain point because you can see all the splash damage those roaches are taking from Serral, and Reynor was able to stand into this fight for a little bit longer. Does Serral have enough in the end? Looking to push through now. The lurker will be chased away. More lurkers showing up, though, and Serral right now does not have a good answer to that because we've not got any of the spellcasters in play.
Absolutely not. Not a whole lot of Vipers available yet, and that means that these units can just, well, really only run. Reynor does finally get the engagement on these units that he was hoping for a little while ago. Kills the 5th hatchery again, and he's going to try and see if he can continue pushing now. He's got the lurker count advantage. He wants to continue sniping the opponent's lurkers too. Corrosive bombs.
Gets one. Oh, doesn't get it.
Because there's so much splash damage coming out of Serral's army.
Yeah, those couple of defensive lurkers held in a huge way, and that is going to be Serral able to push Reynor back. It did come at the cost of his 5th base, however, and while Serral has been great at dealing damage to Reynor, that 5th base of his does stand with a slight work Lurker lead. Reynor leads across the board right now, apart from the +3 carapace, which is on the way from Serral, but far from being done. He will retake the 5th base, and now 10 more Lurkers. It's kind of wild that he was so hesitant to go into Lurkers earlier, no?
Yeah, I think he was just under so much pressure that he didn't really have a chance to morph them in any.
Yeah, it's been impressive moves here by Reynor. As they mentioned before, I do really like that he did go for Adaptive Talents first, just because he had a much more active or more mobile army to be able to get into the face of Serral, and he's been able to do so. He takes down the expansion, takes a Lurker lead. Reynor does have a slight lead over Serral. I say slightly, does have a lead over Serral, but now we're back into Lurker tech. So far, no one has been able to afford Vipers. I say that, as I say that, first Vipers on the way for Reynor. Big moment here for the Blue Zerg.
Very uncommon, even though it's the ultimate unit composition in this matchup. Generally speaking, there's not
Here come the
much more
Vipers.
than this. You're not really going to go into Brute Lords or Ultras or anything along those lines. Even though it's the best unit composition, we don't frequently see it.
He's so spy.
So funny.
Yeah, Burrow versus Burrow, and Serral's actually more of an
You'd think they'd
overseer
like
right
bump
there as
into
well.
each other like under the ground.
Had a bunch of free damage done. Instead,
He gets
he's
in.
going to lose a hatchery. Burrow just started to split up. At the same time, though, Serral in a good aggressive position in the bottom right, but he cannot.
Yeah,
break
Serral
into
out of
those
position.
Lurkers.
Drone's going to be going down.
Attacking into
Nice
Lurkers
Burrow.
feels like an impossibility right now, especially in those kind of numbers. Lurker's going to get back defensively here. They will start spreading out, and we will look to defend this. Honestly, I'm surprised Serral didn't lose more. I thought a hatch was going to die at the very least, if not more. But it was a very good defense as Serral continues to play off of only 45 drones. Has got the 5th hatch up in the top left. Can he find the chance to just squeak a few drones in here and there? Because I feel like long term right now, he kind of needs to.
This is an incredibly chaotic match. There's action all over. Serral's heart rate hasn't really.
Oh no! Oh my god!
Every programmer at this stage that we have seen.
As you can see, it's one of those things where Reynor, he takes a greater economic lead. He gets 8 more drone kills. Viper has arrived, so there we go. He can abduct. He gets 1 Lurker. He can get another Lurker as well. Reynor is still looking more comfortable, but the Lurker count is still in favor of Serral. He can still take these fights as long as the Lurkers are in position, but the Viper does change things, and now we have a second Viper on the way as well.
Like Serral is the one whose Lurkers are just putting in work right now, but no Vipers of his own. I mean, it is kind of crazy. I mean, I get it. He's not super rich. He can't necessarily afford it, but it's going to be difficult for him to do anything apart from just defending. As that's the current situation of things. Gets a couple drones here himself. 44 to 54 when it comes to those workers. Serral has got a larger army up. But again, those Vipers are growing in numbers, and Reynor will use those to his advantage in these upcoming fights.
What are the Viper numbers at right now for both players? As we do see a nice abduction.
That's
exactly why they are so powerful. Okay, it's only 1 versus 2. The main problem with Vipers, of course, is that they are very gas heavy, but both abductions as well as blinding clouds are phenomenal against these type of units, and sometimes even parasitic bomb if we do end up seeing a ton of overseers as a way of trying to get that detection down. But either way, this is a dangerous game.
Parasitic bombs can be useful against Viper versus Viper. If we get to the ultra late game, we should be getting up to like 12 Vipers apiece. That's only if we can get there, if we slow things down. So far, they're still looking for a way in. So he's maxed.
Still delicate. Very, very damage heavy, not a lot of hit points in general. It can still snowball out of control so quickly as Reynor now goes for the next line of attack. He decides to go into a Nidus network.
Yeah, I was just about to say that's really cool to see.
Gets the
how he's gonna
expansion.
utilize that.
Here come the deductions. He gets 1. Oh!
Super low, by the way. Vipers are coming in to try and help out. A couple of abducts so far. Serral is yet to be able to utilize his Viper effectively. That left hatchery will go down, though. Of course, Reynor has this blue gold base, but you can knock down the blue minerals here, which is a big factor as well. So that's something that Serral could maybe do. He's also just got an attack on this left side, and Reynor can't attack.
Reynor getting out positioned.
He was used on the right, so he doesn't have a lot of Viper energy.
Oh my god! Oh no! The roaches get caught!
He was so close to that base that he ends up accidentally sniping some of the rocks and killing his own units because of it. I wonder if Reynor was the one getting the final hit there. It doesn't really matter though.
Nice abductions.
He is going to be able to kill a whole lot of drones and then also a hatchery to boot, but that is something you have to be careful with.
So a couple of nice pickups here from Reynor, but again, he loses 2 bases. 2 expansions have gone down. Reynor, his economy is hurting. That's why Reynor can't max out. That's why Serral has that supply lead. He needs that money. He needs the bases.
Is big. Reynor has these gold minerals.
Yeah, he's so oversaturated.
Like a couple lurks behind there right now could absolutely just snipe those drones. And that's exactly what I think we're sort of setting up for. That's why we're already here with these lurkers from Reynor. Serral stepping into it. Needs to be careful. He does have the blinding clouds available, though. All the abducts, what do you want to do? Double abduct. 2 lurkers go down. Add in another Viper as well. It's so weird because this is such a move on from what used to be like 5, 6, 7 Vipers. Like, it used to be like if you've got more Vipers, you win. So you'd see stupid Viper counts in these scenarios. Vipers abducting each other into the Hydras. But they are playing this with a super low Viper count, super low economies. Reynor trying to get that Nidus up, and that might buy him an opportunity to get in position. That right side base of Serral looks extremely vulnerable. That's probably just a give up right now.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. The economies are just so long.
Yeah, it does catch the hatchery. As I mentioned, I mean, there's no mining here. There's no economy. No resources, I should say.
Base, but it was already mined out because we are now at the 24-minute mark. Serral decides to see if he can maybe fight fire with fire as he goes in for the counter-attack too. A single lurker just as a distraction. Third base is going to get denied here once more. There is so much action still happening. The Roach is over here.
Oh no, the move command! Oh my god.
Losing those units for free.
Yeah, too much going on right now.
It's happened a couple of times here, but Reynor with some miscontrol.
This is not pretty. We do see a blinding cloud, but it doesn't really hit much. Serral will get a couple of his lurkers abducted in, but he's still leading heavily on the army supply. He has really done an amazing job of just taking the fights over the last few minutes. There was a point in this game where Serral was in so much trouble, and now it could not be any different. Another abduct from Serral as he marches across to the bases of Reynor that he needs to hold on to, and Reynor is recognizing that his time in this game may be coming to a close because Serral is taking down everything that Reynor needs to hang on in there. This base with 30 workers on it, that's nigh on all of the economy that Reynor owns in this game. So this is not looking pretty, and Serral might have just clawed his way to a Game 3 victory.
Yeah, it's been an impressive comeback here from Serral, as they were pointing out. Even though Serral was, I would say, taking some worse fights against Reynor, it was the economy, it was the bases that were still up and running for Serral. He was able to actually rebuild, remax. GG gets called, and Serral takes the next game, takes the lead in the series. Whew. Oh my god.
Gets the win here in the third game of the series, but
crazy, Papi, crazy.
Back and forth. So much chaos all over the map. So many little engagements all happening at the same time, and Serral is just ever so slightly better at navigating these super difficult engagements. I mean, if you look at any of the fights in isolation, on the whole, that just went slightly better for Serral, right? And it's a lot of little things happening all at the same moment.
Kind of like
engagements that happen throughout a game. And
so winding it back, because I kind of glossing over the start of the game. Reynor took a lead. Reynor was ahead. If you remember, Reynor, he was able to get maxed out early on. He took a greater economic start, and Reynor went for a super maxed army with Banelings, and Reynor did win the fight. Remember, he did win the fight against Serral. He did dominate the start. You can see he's looking at the replay here, but it was Serral with the defensive edge with the slightly better upgrades. It was only slightly better by a couple of seconds, where Serral was able to actually survive and defend his third. That was like the pivotal moment for Serral, where he survived, he weathered the storm, and the game continued from there, and he was slowly able to claw his way back in. Just to re-emphasize again, like Reynor, he was in a way out positioning, getting a lot of damage done, but unfortunately for Reynor, he couldn't maintain his bases. Serral was being so active as well, catching out base after base, expansion after expansion. In the end, Reynor, he ran out of money, ran out of steam. GG. GG, well played. Crazy comeback there out of Serral. Well done. Well done. And now the players are asking for a break. Again, we do expect this. I mean, I'm hoping that this goes all the way to the ace match, but Serral is one game away from claiming the series. The pressure is on Reynor. We'll see you guys in a couple of minutes with game number 4. Let's go. Let's go, Papi. Let's go.
Players of all time, it's Rogue. I'm sorry you had to suffer the elimination at this stage. You lost to Cure. How did you feel about the games and what went wrong?
일단 이병현 선수 좀 많이 아쉽게 일단 탈락을 하게 됐는데 김독 선수의 대결에서 좀 어떤 게 좀 잘못된 것 같은지 일단 좀 여쭤보고 싶습니다.
일단 제가 준비했던 빌드를 뭔가 다 막혀가지고 좀 아쉽고, 뭔가 제가 연습을 되게 열심히 했는데 그 연습한 플레이를 많이 못해가지고 더 아쉬운 것 같아요.
So I think my build that I prepared actually failed pretty much in all of the series. So I think generally overall my execution was very wrong.
That's fair enough. How do you feel about the Zerg versus Terran meta right now and kind of what Terran brings to the table? It feels like a lot of Cyclone mech and 8 barracks attacks.
이제 좀 저태전 좀 구도에 대해서 사실 좀 여러 가지 또 말들도 있는데 이제 사이클론이라든가 사이클론 메카닉이라든가 아니면은 좀 8배럭 러시 같은 좀 그런 것들이 많다 보니까 좀 저태전에 대해서 좀 메타 좀 평을 해주신다면 좀 어떤 평이 있을까요?
일단 저태전에서 그 두 가지 빌드가 이기기 너무 힘들다고 생각을 하고 있고 저그가 이기려면은 2배를 더 잘해야 된다고 생각을 하기 때문에 아무래도 연습 때보다 대회 때 더 이기기가 힘든 것 같습니다.
Yeah, those two mentioned builds that is actually very hard to counter. So that being said, I think you need to bring twice as much as performance than the Terran opponent. So I think you have to bring more in especially in the tournament.
Thank you very much, Rogue.
Welcome back to our first quarterfinals here at the StarCraft 2 Esports World Cup. We are just about to load into game number 4 between Serral and Reynor, two absolute fan favorites, two previous world champions of StarCraft 2, and two pro gamers that are hungry for another win. This series so far has been phenomenal.
It really has been. We've had a taste of aggression from both sides. We've had a taste of getting into the longer game on the back of aggression. I mean, that last game was also aggression that was just about held off, right? So there was some crazy defenses made. I would say Serral actually played a lot of that game from behind, but really came into his element later on. And again, just a vibe we didn't expect, like less Vipers than we thought there might be. Very fun stuff. We're heading into a game 4 right now between these two players, and it is going to be phenomenal to see
Let's
who's gonna
go.
come out ahead of this one. Can Serral close it?
Again, I'm glad that Wardy brought it back. He once again re-emphasized. He's like, yeah, so who's playing that from behind, so I appreciate that he once again re-centralized. But here we go, we're jumping in.
We have got Serral.
The Basilisk. Let's go.
And his opponent in the top right, Reynor.
Italian Zerg player. The team kill. Let's
All
go.
the matches in this tournament, it feels like, have been quite close. A lot of game 5s, and just in general, I feel like the...
So I hope they start talking about the map itself. Well, no, Torches. Torches is also one of the more vetoed maps in the map pool, known for aggression, known for quirky builds, especially because of the gold bases. So definitely a lot worth discussing and a lot worth kind of theorizing.
I mean, going into this tournament,
Stepping into
I think
Torches.
most of us didn't really have one favorite going into it, right? I mean, we talked about the main contenders already during the show a lot, and I think there's like 6 names or so on the favorites list, which going into an 18-player tournament, that is not something that we normally see. Now, both of these players are, of course, on that list of favorite players to win the entire event, but the skill levels are insanely close right now, and I feel like the previous games are a perfect representation of exactly that. So much chaos, especially in the third game. So much action all over the map, and both players really trying to outsmart, out-strategize each other, but neither of them really getting an edge until, well, like 25 minutes or so into the game, which is just crazy.
Wow, hoping we get another kind of cool game like that, right? I always think back to that. I mentioned that World Championship finals between Reynor and Serral way back when. Game 7, Curious Minds. Reynor's running all around the map. Serral should have had a great spot. Reynor made it super close. Serral eked it out. That last game kind of had vibes of that, where similar kind of idea and just so much mobility. And that's what's so cool about these games, is that when it comes down to this later game ZvZ, it's just kind of boring, camp it out. Like, these guys are running around the map. They're using every avenue of attack. This map in general is just interesting as well, right?
I don't know if you noticed, but a couple of times so far in this cast, in game 1, game 2, and even here in between the games, Loco's been like portraying a certain narrative, and Wardy's been like he's been very gentle with it, but he has been pushing back against it, which I agree with Wardy, but he has been gently pushing back against it. It's happened multiple times so far.
It's so fun because I feel like both players, when they go and play ladder games or go up against weaker opponents, they win just because their multitasking is better. Across the board, they're just a little bit cleaner. But when they play against each other, you can't reliably win just on speed or macro or micro alone. You really have to be out-strategizing your opponent too. And playing a little bit of Reynor.
For now, though, welcome to Torches. So far, we have standard openers. At least it seems to be the case. We have the Bailey Nest from Reynor. I haven't quite seen the natural yet from Serral. Didn't quite notice.
Queen needs to go back to the creep here and put down a tumor. So you don't really want to chase it too far.
No Bailey Nest once again, going for the early Ling Flood. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Serral, he's going for early Ling aggression. The goal here should be, oh, he's going to be skipping the nest entirely.
Initially, Reynor, Ling's coming up, Bailey Nest on the way. Ooh, he's going to go for the Roach Roar in the back, which immediately signifies something sneaky. So he's basically saying, hey, look, we're just going kind of Ling Bane, but in reality, he's going to go Roaches and try and probably hit fairly aggressively. Can Serral figure that out? Yes, he's got a Roach Roar, but you still need to know it's coming to stop droning in time.
Serral, though, once more going for a lot of Zerglings here, trying to see if maybe he can get some damage done on the other side of the map. And usually when you're on the other side of the map, you might also have a chance at scouting. Indeed, that Baneling Nest, though, is going to come in handy. Reynor is going to be able to grab a few Banelings, and that will help out against this type of aggression a lot. This is a difficult map, though, to push on, especially when the mineral fields, the golden wall is still up. It's difficult to really get your opponent's base broken open, because there's really only just this one ramp. There we go. That's exactly the ramp I was talking about. Serral ends up losing it.
Serral does take some minions to face. Now, just to reiterate what Wardy said in the previous game, when you go for this Ling Flood that Serral's been going for, the goal here is to keep Reynor busy while he can, while he's building up Roaches. Remember, he's skipping Banelings, rushing to Roaches, and Serral, he's not droning.
He's equal on drones. Reynor's going to start taking a slight drone lead here. I think Serral is fine. Like, yes, it would have been better for him to not take that Baneling kind of connection, but otherwise, he's looking okay. He's going to start taking this fight. Lings are going to be okay here with the Roach or 2 backing up. The Queen's there as well, and that is going to be Reynor's Lings deflected, and Serral may just be able to look at this as a chance to kind of get into a few more drones again now.
Yep.
Yeah, the question right now is Serral going to drone or is he going to commit? We have the answer. He's droning. He's droning, getting upgrades. Serral is going to try to stabilize and get into the mid game while skipping Banelings.
Banelings themselves are also not particularly cheap, so even though he does lose a lot of Zerglings, if right now...
Meanwhile, because of the worker production, because of the cut workers out of Serral, Reynor, he is enjoying a greater economy for longer. And even here's denying mining time.
Now, just using some of those leftover Zerglings for scouting instead.
Those couple of Banes are real hit.
So overall, like Reynor, he's in a slightly better position here.
They're going to pull back as you can see the carapace coming up for Reynor, so that's going to be his choice versus the missiles of Serral. I was wondering if Serral might just kind of hold down the Roach key and go with the +1, but he's been adding the drones in pretty consistently, although you'll have to replace a few of these drones now.
3 more drone kills.
They go down. Reynor utilizing the fact he still has those speedy Lings out on the map, counter-attacking in, finding some damage in the game.
Again, really rough start here for Serral. Down in workers, losing more workers, losing more mining time, still a worse economy.
+1 carapace with.
You're absolutely right. Lair coming up right now as well for Serral, who is thinking about moving across. It's
That's
really
a fake
not
out.
his turn to be attacking, no, I don't think, because the +1 armor here is quite scary, and Reynor's army is still looking big. There's no Lair yet here for Reynor. He starts it up right now, not entirely convinced that he can really deal critical damage with this attack. We did see some of the units, by the way, on the left side of the map going to the healing shrine.
Ooh, he's forcing a reaction.
Themselves back up once again. Kind of a nice play. A lot of players tend to forget.
So this is something that happens very often in ZvZ. Reynor, he does push out across the map, but you can see here he has no intention to commit. He's revealing his army to the Overlords, and he's forcing Serral not to drone. That's why Serral is once again down in workers, because Serral is forced to make all these Roaches.
He has a lot of units just ready to go. He has way more army than Reynor does right now.
He gets into the mineral line.
We might lose a couple
2
drones.
more.
Remember, Reynor, he's in a position where he's actually ahead on drones now, and Serral's going to be behind on the lair at the end of all of this. So Reynor kind of changing what he's doing, not fully committing. And now Serral's the one who looks like he might have been full committing, but he's now droning. His lair's back on the way. He's even going to start Overlord.
Yeah, Serral, he has some catching up to do. He's trying to re-drone, trying to resaturate. His lair is later. He's getting into his own upgrades as well, but like he has no pushing potential.
The council is on really maximizing the resources, going to that defense, and that now means that Reynor actually grabs a small tech advantage. It's these little things, though, that add up over the course of a game. Overlord ends up going down too. Do you think we're going to see a Spire again? Reynor's gone for a Spire in the last few games, and this would be an opportunity for him to do something similar again.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. It's kind of one of the benefits of having Overlord speed from Serral. If he does go Spire, he can pull the Overlords back or reposition them back on the map as required.
Hydrogen, he's reading Spire play.
Like, it definitely feels like Serral kind of thinks he might be going there.
It's the march of the Overlords right here as they're going out everywhere.
Yeah, he's going to get to see a lot with those, right? So good vision for him.
So this is really safe play from Serral getting into Overlord speed and getting into Hydras, but this is all resources not being spent on Roach production. So it's also hurting him. Reynor's going to be the first to max. In general here, Reynor, he has had the stronger mid or early game, early to mid game. Reynor, he's had a lead this entire time, and now he's pushing out, and we'll see if Serral can pull off a crazy incredible defense like he did previously on Tokamak.
He does have a numbers advantage though. Main problem for him is that Serral's units just simply pop out of those cocoons and pretty much straight into the fight. Whereas his will have to travel across the map if he does decide to be aggressive. Now he's maxed out, he needs to go and do something, but is there enough army for him to break this position here for Serral?
It's honestly a very good question. I'm not 100% sure. We attack on in. Reynor does have a carapace upgrade.
Does avoid the biles. Forcing his way through.
Can Serral get enough up? Having to pull back away.
He can push into the third.
Overrun on the left, but he does have a good number of units on the right. Can he fight this? It doesn't look good for him right now.
He's getting into the mineral line. He wants that third base.
These forces. So much made from Serral that's just
can he get in? Nah, he will. Yeah, he will.
Reynor will tie us up to go to a game 5.
Yeah, GG, well played again. Reynor, he was in the driver's seat that entire game. I was so impressed here with Reynor. He was doing such a great job at killing workers here and there, at forcing responses out of Serral, at forcing roaches, at delaying economy. Again, as we were trying to emphasize, the entire game, Reynor was up in workers, whether he was killing workers or forcing units out of his opponents. Likewise, we were also talking about the disadvantage of Serral playing safe. He invested into a Hydra, invested into into Overlord speed as well. All things that aren't roaches, all things that don't help in the defense. So this was, I would say, the strongest game out of Reynor. Really impressive.
Yeah, I think he was prepping for what he has seen Reynor kind of doing in the previous games, but the reality was Reynor just said no. Fewer units this time, and clearly had more than enough when it came to pushing in.
Yeah, when you're slightly behind and you invest in that Overlord speed and you invest into the high.
Yeah, now they're referring to it.
You assume that maybe your opponent is playing the same strategy again, and then you just get hit in the face with just straight roaches. You might just not have the numbers here, and that's exactly what happened. It was very small margins, but Reynor reading his opponent like a book, and maybe that's also why he decided to go for the Spire, right? In the previous games.
And again, it wasn't just as Serral, he over-invested into further tech that didn't help in the defense, but also the fact that Reynor maintained that worker lead the entire game, and even extended that as well, which is why he was able to be the first to max out as well. Like, there's just so much that came into that game. That was crazy.
Absolute chaos. I feel like Reynor was getting into some better positions the last couple of games into that mid game, because that was kind of true in game 3 as well. So that's nice. Obviously, he didn't close it out in game 3, so it doesn't mean it's going to win, but
and I mentioned before that Ward has been like very gentle, like Ward has been very gently pushing back. You can hear it here as well. Loco keeps saying like, oh, it's been a really intense, like and really close margins here, but it's like, no, like even in the last game, like Reynor, he had a stronger early and mid game, which is what made it more impressive that Serral came back on Tokamak.
And in the bottom left hand corner, we have Serral.
In the top right, our Blue Zerg bringing us to this game 5. It is Reynor.
Let's go. Ace match.
Do you think Serral's heart rate has gone up yet? Oh, we're at 109. Okay, we went above 100. I feel like throughout these games, he rarely goes above any higher than like maybe 98, 99.
We have confirmation. Serral, his heart is beating. His heart is beating. He has a heart. Can confirm.
I mean, he's been sitting at like 140 the entire way through.
Yes, he has. He's been he's been a high heart rate player all event. To be fair, this series getting your heart rate up. Both of these players can absolutely go on and win the whole thing, but one of their tournaments ends today. They will not advance to Championship Friday. As we have Hatch, Gas, and Pool on the way from both. Drones on the way. Again, we're once more looking for that kind of mirror.
Yeah, when it comes to Serral's play, he's been skipping Banelings quite a bit here. Even in the last game, as a reminder, he skipped his Baneling nest, went into a Link Flood early on. In the end, it was not worth it. In the end, that was the first big kind of moment where Serral did fall behind. This time we're expecting something more standard out of Serral, but we'll see.
When it comes down to it now.
Yeah, such narrow margins, right? Like even that previous game, even though it was a win for Reynor,
it's doing it again.
Still required him to play really well, right? And then get a couple of small advantages, and then also Serral to commit to Overlord speed and the Hydra then. And that's That second part you don't really have any control over. You're just kind of hoping that your opponent may over-prepare. It's a difficult call to make. I don't know what sort of strategy you should be going for here. It would make sense, honestly, for the both of them to just try and play straight up macro. Maybe test the waters with some Zerglings here and there and some Roach pushes, but committing to like one full all-in, it sounds incredibly risky.
Of course it is, but sometimes that's what you need to win a world championship.
I would say that we've seen a lot of aggression so far in this series from both players. Even last game from Serral, for example, with Ling Flood.
Still in sync with one another. It's, yeah. There's no break in the distance between them here just yet. Baneliness goes down. Reynor has the gas for it. Does he delay it?
Serral has a pulse. Crazy.
Well, so
Baneliness from both players.
which one will then play the Ling Bane and which one will play the Defender? That's what we find out next. Or maybe we just get a game where they both just build a couple defensive Banes and they sit back and we really accelerate through to that mid stage without anything really happening.
Yeah, I would not be surprised at all. When both players decide to play defensively, though, we can get very awkward games as well, right? If neither of them really wants to commit too much. Serral starts up his first batch of Zerglings here, like the first batch with Lynx.
Like he says, he wouldn't be surprised if we get into a more standard macro game. I mean, on the one hand, yes, but we haven't had a normal standard macro game at all this series. Like it's been hyper aggression. There it is, fast Roach Warren out of Serral.
Just a few more. Serral hides a Roach Warren.
Yeah, Serral does what Reynor set up to do last game. Serral ended up scouting it. You can see Serral is already playing the defensive scout right there. And there's the Roach Warren coming down from Reynor as well. So Reynor and Serral both Roach Warren in it up as we get into this. Now Reynor is just at the front. That's very obvious. He's not trying to hide anything.
Hidden Eva Chamber. Yeah, hidden chamber here by Reynor. We'll see if he goes into +1 carapace. +1 range.
If he wants to make a few and head across.
So really fast upgrades.
Reynor's starting to head into that upgrade, which does put the pressure on Serral to get something done here. Ling denied again, but we are going to have to pull away to the right side to deal with the rest of these Zerglings. Maybe that opens the door for a scout from Reynor.
Yep, it's very
now remember, because of the early Roach run out of Serral, he already has Roach production, and Serral, he may just turn this into an all-in. He can just send that across the map. We have 8 Roaches in production, and so far, no drones. No drones. He's down in workers, intentionally so. He's all in. Serral's all in.
Which I don't really love for him necessarily because Reynor's just a few drones ahead, but not too many. He does add a couple more now. He is also invested into that +1 missiles. Is that enough of an edge for Serral to successfully go across the map with these Roaches? I'm not sure if it's enough.
The Overlord does confirm the Roaches.
As we get these Roaches,
Reynor, how does he respond? Spine crawlers. Spines are on the way. He needs time. He needs time for the spines.
Show up. I think already Serral's going to realize, like, uh-oh, he's got Roaches. He's going to go back. He's going to start an upgrade.
How many spines does he have? We can only see one. I think he has at least 2.
That's why I was wondering, maybe he wants to use it defensively for the most part, because it's so difficult to get much done. Maybe the
just one
can swoop in, and that exactly does happen.
Gets into the main.
Roaches, though, really used here as a distraction, which is not why they were originally made. Both players
does slip into the main base. Serral, he backs off, he drones. Now these drones are late for Serral, so Reynor is in a better position coming into the mid game, but mining is being denied, so damage is being done.
Once again, because that's how you usually get the edge in a longer game of ZvZ. Lair starts up here for Reynor. He decides to build it not inside of the main base, just continuously keep the opponent guessing. Serral, in the meantime, though, decides to go into the +1 carapace, and he's still adding on more Roaches.
Unfortunately for Reynor, remember, he had +1 range, he cancelled. When he saw the all-in coming, he cancelled +1 range to pull off the defense, so that means that Reynor no longer has that upgrade lead, but he does have the Lair lead. Like, Lair is already halfway done for Reynor. He could even flirt with the idea of going into mutas.
This game is wiped out because of him feeling the need to just get as many units up as possible, which was true, but Serral didn't commit in. Reynor starts a spine.
What are you talking about, the
he's
+1?
He's a little bit suspicious about where this is going, and so he should be. Without a Lair on the way from Serral, like, he's sending this, and so Reynor is right now looking to set up correctly.
I think Reynor is indeed reading this correctly.
Good read.
It's still going to be a very scary...
So Serral, the first all-in failed. Here comes the second all-in. As they're pointing out, there is no Lair because he has no intention of taking up into a Lair for the game going any longer.
The Ravagers and the Queens, but the Lings and the Banes do not get that same advantage. So Serral is just about...
So this should be a Ling Ravager all-in out of Serral with +1 carapace.
2 spine crawlers available at the very least here for Reynor. He is going to have a lot of armor army as well, and I think he's got the setup.
2 spines.
Yeah, he's going to put them both between the natural and the third base.
Reynor, he's got a good setup, as they mentioned. Looking good.
All the Banelings morphing in. That's going to be a big deal breaker, right? We saw how powerful they could be in a much larger situation earlier. Serral actually going to come to the right. Those spines, I love where they're at. They really give you some opportunity here, as we are going to see the first corrosive bile going down. Serral does not have that much of an army supply advantage. He does have the +1 carapace.
Banelings are coming from behind, going for the mineral line. They're going for the army. Never mind.
The roaches back, trying to get a good cluster of them over there, but they are going down with Art honestly doing all
wow,
too much.
nice splits. Very nice splits. Reynor, he's doing it.
Push Serral away here in this game 5.
Yep, Reynor does have an 8-worker advantage as well in the back of this, so Serral needs to continuously fight. Reynor's turn, though, is going to be now to try and be aggressive. I don't think Serral can really, hold on.
And remember, +1 range on the way. Roach speed is on the way. Lair is done. Reynor, he's up in workers, up in tech, up in upgrades. And Reynor, he's going to run away with this. He's snowballing out of control. And he can move out.
He decides to go back. I honestly don't mind this. I think you just sit back and you push as soon as roach speed is done.
As I'm pointing out, he's calming down. He's waiting for his upgrades.
Serral was struggling. There's no way that those Zerglings are going to run in. Reynor is
he knows.
everything, and Serral believes that he may have just thrown it all away.
Yeah, his aggression, he knows it.
That's right.
He understands this game very well. Reynor made all the right choices, and Serral understands.
I would not phrase it in such a way. That's. But yeah, Serral, the all-in has failed. The all-in has failed. He has no further tech behind this. He's trying to set up defensively. You can see this thing run by. He's set up to try to punish the move out, but Reynor, he's in position. He's in position to fully wall off.
Gonna try and do something, but roaches are there, so Serral can't find that opportunity, and he just doesn't have that many roaches.
Wait, like there was no throw here. Like what? What are you talking about? What are you watching, Loco?
Probably not.
Can Serral have one of his miraculous holds once again? He's already done it earlier on in this particular series.
He's going to lose the game. He must have thrown. Nice around.
Of this series right here, right now.
The vials. Oh my god.
Those spines are helping out a lot too.
Serral.
Roaches and Ravagers here for Serral are trying his
That's a crazy fight.
to keep these units alive, and you know what, Marty? Did he just pull off one of those miraculous defenses? There's no way.
This is actually next level defense, and I think so much of it comes down to Reynor, who's sprung too soon. So many of his reinforcements are back because they held off the lings.
These Banelings, if those 2 Banelings that you can see with the army were with his main force, that would have been it. That would have been game. That would have been game. No shot.
Lives on. What a defense. That was not expected, and he is going to find himself with an opportunity still here in Riyadh to maybe blast to the top 4.
How in the world did Serral just do that? It felt to me like we were seconds away from Reynor jumping up out of his chair and celebrating a win, but we are not there just
yet. As what he said, Reynor was premature. He was premature, but I'd be like, Reynor, he had everything he needed, but he pushed with half his army, essentially. He pushed with half his army. He got surrounded with only half his army, and Serral pulled off a crazy defense there. Again, thankfully for Serral, Reynor, he was a little bit too excited, a little bit too cavalier, and Serral's back in this.
And this game resets into a very different state to when we've seen the Spire earlier. When we've seen the Spire earlier, Reynor's been a little bit ahead.
Ooh, Spire gets scouted.
Has had to respond and get himself stuck even further behind, and Reynor was able to pounce on that opportunity. This time, it's not really the case, right? Like, Serral really had a good army count. He's got the chance to truly set up into his Hydras this time. Upgrades are not super far behind from either. He's now caught up on the Roach speed. There's that Overlord speed as well, as he just realizes exactly what...
I really couldn't see anything other than Clem's Serral final bracket. I think...
And that's why he was so perseverant.
You need to watch some more StarCraft.
Serral with a chance in this game. 4-meter startup from Reynor.
I responded to that earlier as well. Like, I can see certain players threatening Clem and Serral already in the bracket.
Big question from here.
You need to watch more StarCraft.
I can't believe we're in this position right now, as both players are ready to start mining a 4th base. Reynor's gonna have map control once again.
So winding it back here, again, Reynor, he doesn't kill Serral, he's still ahead. Reynor, he's still ahead, he still has a lead. He's claiming his 4th base, he's taking up into mutas. He doesn't over-invest into mutas. Thankfully, only enough mutas to harass. Reynor, he's the first to max. He still has a greater economy, but Serral is keeping up. Serral, he can pull off a defense.
Such a difficult game to read, though, from, well, either of these 2 players'
Better upgrade to Reynor.
How in the world do you know what the opponent has at this stage after, well, that previous fight?
Yeah, this is definitely tough. I mean, Reynor's going to get a chance to pounce forward a little bit here, but the mutas will not add too much to his army. The Biles will force Serral back, but he's in a defensive enough position. Like, this fight is absolutely fine for Serral. He's 1-1 against +2. It's a slight advantage for Reynor, but not too much. Couple corrosive Biles, got to be careful of those. Don't want to let those land in for no reason at all. And Serral's also not far away from finishing his own +2. He has Burrow and Tunneling Claws coming up behind this as well, and this starts to get to that phase of the game, which we liked a lot for Serral previously in that longer game that we saw. That could be a problem for Reynor, because Serral played great when the game went long.
Absolutely, this choke point is scary. Can you really commit here? Reynor may have
nice concave
a little bit. Those Hydras now also adding in a ton of additional damage. They don't yet have their speed upgrade yet, though, so I don't think Serral can really chase this too far. But soon he will have the Tunneling Claws, and that is going to make this game a whole lot harder here for Reynor, who's now building up an infestation pit of his own. So maybe he's thinking about going into a hive.
Very scary for Reynor, because if Serral takes map control, Reynor has loads of overlords spread out right now that he's going to start losing, and that's a supply block in the making. He does not have any overlords on the way. Like, yes, right now he's maxed out, but it's just something to think on.
When it comes to the tech available, I don't think Serral set up. There we go. I was going to say, I don't think it's set up for a hive for Lurker tech. Pit is on the way into Lurkers, in towards Lurker tech once again from Serral. We can see Reynor's trying to get there as well.
To help reposition those overlords
Trying.
in this game a little bit. Serral matching Reynor on the infestation pit in the production tab. But Serral seems to think he can fight this, and I definitely think he can right now as he steps forward into it. Corrosive Biles start to land a little bit, but Serral will keep
Reynor getting caught out.
Push Reynor back for the moment, and he's going to get a cancel on the right side.
Yeah, that is a big cancel for sure right there for Reynor, denying, or for Serral rather, denying the 5th base. He doesn't yet have one of his own, though, and those mutas, they don't know that the roaches are tunneling around underground. We have a Lurker Den coming up again here for Reynor, likewise as well, or sorry, for Serral, likewise as well, a Hydra Den for Reynor. So both players are preparing to play a late game once again.
Now, when it comes to the setup for the late game, when it comes to the setup for Lurkers, Serral has a lead here. Serral, even though he's been down in workers, down in economy, he does have the Hydra count already. He has the Hydra upgrades, denies the base. Reynor, he's in danger.
Himself, but he's absolutely doing a great job of denying Reynor's, as the mutas are maybe just going to give themselves up. I don't even know if I hate it if they die right now, right? Just free up supply for better units. Roach is going to hit the left side at the same time. Reynor might not be set up to deal with that. He does get some roaches there. He does have the Spore and the Overseer nearby. Serral still finding a chance to dive on forward. With Spines here, it feels very tough. At the same time, Serral
oh no! He miscontrols! Oh, like that's it! He breaks through!
Moves himself into trouble!
This is exactly what Serral was his entire way through. He's just looking for an opportunity to pounce.
Yeah, rough movement there from Reynor. He exposes the Ravagers.
And Ravagers there from Reynor. Those Hydras just make these fights so difficult right here for the Italian Zerg player, just because their damage is not to be underestimated. And again, look at the units lost right there in the top left. Serral just so good at taking the more efficient fights, despite the fact that they're mostly playing with the exact same units. Lurkers are going to be an opportunity here very soon, though. Seismic Spines coming up for Serral. Lurker Den just
we might not even need Lurkers, to be honest. Like, Reynor, he's barely holding on. If he loses this position, he will lose the Roach Warren. He will lose access to his natural.
The Tunneling Claws, but he will get it done here soon enough.
Very similar to that previous game, right, where Reynor was just a little behind in getting to it all. Seismic Spines from both here this time around. So you're going to see that Overseer being sniped down. Lurkers start to morph in from Serral. We get that ready to go, of course.
But they're referring to Tokamak.
Extremely important from here on out, because you need to see those burrowed Lurkers. That will be absolutely essential, as Serral has done a great job of maintaining map control, and because of that, he's going to push the left side, and Reynor just doesn't always see it coming, right? So he has to pull back. Does he have a good enough split here? He has less roaches, but he does have a spine, a couple of mutas. I think he should be okay. Reinforcements are going to show up, but maybe
Serral operates better with a lower heart rate. I mean, Serral, he's looking comfortable here. Like, Serral's in control. Like, it makes sense for the heart rate to go down for Serral. It's Reynor who's, like, trying to survive. For the past couple of minutes.
You can see the splash coming through, and Reynor can see it because his own Lurkers are not ready. He is in trouble as Serral breaches the natural.
And this is such a difficult position to break right now. That is basically the intersection where all of Reynor's units meet. He doesn't have any Vipers. He doesn't have an easy way of breaking. He needs to make sure he gets his own Lurkers out. That's exactly what he's doing right now, but he may lose the natural and the main base in the process. Instead, he decides to use that more mobile part of his army to go in for the counter attack, but he is losing so much at home.
Yeah, he's base trading off of a massive deficit, but he realizes he can't fight the army, so all
yeah,
he can
base
really
trade is
do
the best
just
chance
go
here
and
for
try and
Reynor,
make this
but
game awkward and hope Serral
even
makes
then,
mistakes in dealing with this. Serral's more than some lurkers. If they
it's
have
the one
good
chance he
defense,
has.
That's going to be amazing for him, as we see the Roach is getting so many drones. Every hatchery of Reynor is under heavy fire right now. His final moments of this tournament may be coming up because Serral is in the main, and honestly, Reynor may just straight up face elimination soon. He only has 62 minerals.
Yeah, keep in mind the win condition in a game of StarCraft 2 is to destroy your opponent's structures. Ultimately, the units do not matter. If the structure tab in the top left-hand corner of your screen is empty, that means, well, one of those two players have lost the game, and Serral just has way more units, but he doesn't have as fast an army.
Reynor did make a few.
Yeah, he's got a ninja base here. He's got a base on the center of the map. You can see Serral is now starting to turn back around, knocking down more expansions. Reynor, he's getting some damage done. He's killing buildings, but
Coming up from Reynor on the other side of the map, as Serral does have
saves
some
the boys.
lurkers over there as well on the left side. So that defends the base and his drones. That is huge. That means Serral has a mine base available as he is looking. Reynor only has the hatchery building and the lurker den left.
Yeah, and I think Reynor now realizes that maybe this game has slipped out of his hands. He had a phenomenal opportunity about 5 minutes ago to place himself into the next round of the EWC, but I think in this position it is going to be extremely difficult.
GG.
And GG, well played, gets called. Serral obtains the win in our first quarterfinals, and he does so in spectacular fashion.
Yeah, that was a crazy game. As they even mentioned themselves there, Reynor, he was in a commanding position. He was ahead. He was up in upgrades, up in army, up in economy. He was counterattacking. Reynor should have won that game. Everything was looking so good for him, but he did overextend. He got a little bit too excited, got a little bit cavalier. He was premature when it came to his attack. He only fought with half his army. He had reinforcements on the way. He was late to reinforce, and we might, we don't quite see the highlights here, but yeah, Reynor, he got too excited, attacked too soon, attacked with only half his force. He got surrounded, and Serral was able to pull off a crazy defense by fighting half an army at a time. Oh, crazy.
Got the GG, well played, and is going to be into the top 4 of the Esports World Cup 2025. Of course, was in the finals last year. Let's hear from the man himself on stage.
Oh.
So many questions after that series, and don't worry, we're going to go through every single one of them. A sensational series between Serral and Reynor, with Serral coming out on top at the end of the day with 3-2 scoreline. First of all, congratulations, but a whirlwind of games back and forth. And I want to throw back to game number 1, a little bit of a weird aggressive build coming out from Reynor. How dead did you think you were at the beginning of that first game?
Well, I never really felt like I was dead. Well, I feel like the scariest moment when I actually saw the Banelings, because none of my overlords saw the Banelings, so I was thinking, is this just a Link Flood? It would have been a easy win, but then the Banelings come, and it's a bit scary because I don't really have anything for them besides the 3 queens. But I think he maybe used the Banelings a bit wastefully, and that ended up... After that, I feel like it was in my control the whole time. Maybe I should have thrown up a bit more at some point, but it was pretty comfortable after that.
Now, when it comes to, I believe, game number 2, you played very aggressive yourself with a +1 carapace build. Do you feel like you should have gone for that third build instead of committing to the new, or the third base instead of committing to the neutral?
Yeah, I think I should have probably got more Banelings as well, and just, like you said, push the, get him behind his natural, keep piling the only entrance out of his natural, and just pass the third base with Banelings, and I think that was probably the best play there. He basically held it with 66 workers there, so after that, the build didn't really work out at all.
Now, and when it comes to that last game, it was so back and forth, but you very rarely go for an all-in at the beginning of the game. How in the world did you defend? How? It seemed impossible, but somehow from... I just don't know. I want to know. How were you able to defend yourself at the very end there?
Yeah, I don't know. To be honest, I was already siding in the last game. I was pretty hopeless there after my all-in +1 carapace all-in failed again.
We already spoke about this,
but yeah. I was kind of dead there, but then I remembered Reynor actually played a game against Solar, and he made an insane comeback with made just ton of spines. So I mean, let's make 2 spines and 2 spine counter and counter all in, and then the links come from behind, and I get the hold there. I think it's still pretty hard after that, but I get the clutch scout on the spire. He doesn't even see it, I think. So it's all the stars aligned after the start for that game.
Now I want to tell you, did you know that when you were defending, when you were on your last legs in that moment, I gotta tell you guys, your heartbeat was sitting comfortably at 85. How do you stay so calm under
This is the best question so far. Best question.
Throughout the entire series,
I like
Reynor
this.
has been sitting from 125 to 150. The later the game goes on, your heartbeat slows down. I counted it in that last game specifically. You started minute 1 at 110 and ended at 82 by the end of the game. It's usually the other way around when it comes to these kinds of games. So walk us through it. How are you so calm in these situations?
Well, I don't know. I felt pretty nervous actually. Especially,
Didn't look like it.
Yeah, I was pretty nervous. I think always I feel like Lem and Reynor are probably the people that I find it very scary. So I don't know what happened there. I guess late games are where I'm very comfortable at. So the longer the game goes, I usually just get calmer and calmer, and I should be able to take it there.
Yeah,
yeah, those numbers are pretty crazy, I have to say.
Don't worry, I'll show you the numbers once we're done. But ladies and gentlemen, what a series. The match of the day held up for sure. Thank you very much for joining us. Congratulations, Serral. A historic game against your teammate. We're gonna head on over to the studio, and don't worry, I'll show you guys all the numbers. Boys, over to you.
I love the response. He's like, yo, your heart rate was like, it was so low. He's like, the best response was, my heart was beating faster than it's ever done before. It was crazy. Almost peaking at 110 or 110 even.
To talk about this one. Lambo, I want to come to you, man. What did we just watch?
I want to hear from Lambo.
I mean, I don't even know myself, to be entirely honest. When I was watching this, I said Serral is dead multiple times.
Yeah,
Honestly,
yeah.
when I saw him morphing in the banelings, when I saw him commit to the all-in in the last game, I thought he was dead.
Yeah.
He attacked, then I was sure he was dead. And then he just, he all-in basically on the defense, gambling on Reynor attacking, and then somehow he clawed his way back. In the other 2 games he won. In this one, he was down 40 supply. And he managed to hold on, he managed to survive, he managed to come back. Even in the first game, I thought he was dead. Honestly, all 3 games. It's completely crazy, this guy.
It's just completely absurd.
This is why, like, again, the idea that like this was like very like as a close towards the end or anything like that's not the case. Like for a lot of these games, and we were pointing out as well, like Serral was playing from behind. For a lot of these games, Serral was playing from behind. Referring to this game on Tokamak, referring to the game that we just had on Ley Lines as well. Like Reynor, he was in more commanding positions in more often in this series, and did slip through his fingers, slip by the wayside, maybe getting a little bit too excited at times. I could definitely sense the frustrations from Reynor as well. So my heart goes out to Reynor. You know, only one could make it through, but GG, well played. Impressive performance here from Serral when it comes to his ability not just to come back in these games, but his ability to just not give up, right? Not give up, to even if there's only a slim chance of surviving, of recovering, like would still go for it, and was able to claw his way back in multiple times. GG, well played. Something I was really curious by, actually, a little bit meta here. I'm curious if, so depending on the setup for the production team, I prefer it when the host is asking questions to the rest of the talent. Something that we did for ANZ Chance was like Fluke, whenever would be watching games, whenever he'd be getting ready for like an interview, would actually ask the talent about like what to ask about certain points and what to key in on, and kind of like the angle and the approach. I don't think that's happening here. At least it doesn't seem to be the case. It looks like Sandstorm is writing his own notes. I do think that I think I prefer it when he's having these more like fun questions that are a little bit more broad at times, or at times maybe even a little bit more memey. I understand that it's good to like ask about specific games, but I feel like it would be good to get like input from the rest of the talent. I don't know if he's watching with like Lambo and with Rotterdam and with these other guys. Hope he does, because it would be nice if he could get their input just like when it comes to like what to ask the players in certain instances. But I don't know the kind of setup that they have.
Like it's ultimate heartbreak when you feel like you've got it after such an epic series. Game 5.
Just because the verbiage for the first question was really weird. Where he's like, how dead did you think you were? It's like, I don't think he was ever. Like that's a strong statement that doesn't really align with how Serral felt at all, how the game state was.
If he's able to survive at those circumstances and come back against one of the best Zerg players in the world, a Reynor in top form at EWC, I don't know who's going to stop him.
Yeah, spectacular stuff. all of us came back into this room in a little bit of shock and awe. That was just, how else do you react?
That was
to a
crazy.
series
It was
like
crazy
that,
series.
Yeah, it's kind of like something really dramatic just happened. And in a way it did,
It
right?
did.
Because that Game 5 victory, but there's so much to talk about, and I know the show must go on for you. We have a lot of other epic best of fives to look forward to. But even that third game, it's not just a late game where Reynor was ahead for a bit. Even earlier, +2 missile attacks, like 95% done. He cancelled it after he made all those spores. I mean, if he has +2 with that first attack, knowing how close that already was, he probably wins that as well. This is a ZvZ best of 5 you could write a book about.
Yeah, I think even in the first game, the first game that Serral won, Reynor had the builder advantage.
Yeah, he did.
And then he fought a little bit too early with the Zerglings, and
He
then
did.
blew up a couple too many banelings on the queens. I think otherwise he would have had that one too. I think even in that one, Serral also thought he was in a really bad spot. He tried to wall, but you cannot wall on pylon without the creep tumor. So he tried to make it last second. He couldn't get the wall up, and then he still somehow held.
But the beautiful thing is we can say the same about Game 2, because I kind of thought that Serral's attack in Game 2 was going to get it done. Like, I really liked it for Serral. And then it was Reynor who pulled off the miraculous defense.
Well, here's our playoff bracket, and unfortunately for Reynor, his tournament will come to an end. However, there is hope here for Basilisk, because Serral just looked almost invincible somehow, some way in that best of 5. And we now head over to what is
He's gonna crush the key.
Breaking key crush here, Roddy. Reynor will be done at the hands of Serral. Serral must crush the key.
Yeah, Serral already said in the beginning of the day, it's a very unfortunate draw. As I said before the series, these two have been friends for an incredibly long time, not just since they've been teammates on Basilisk, but in the early days it was often Serral and Reynor against the Koreans before Clem truly became the Terran player that he is in these days. This is obviously not what Serral wanted, but I'm sure he's incredibly happy that he has survived his
Hero and Maru.
Draw on that bracket, but Serral now finds himself in the top 4 here at the
Got
World
the
Championship
boys.
of StarCraft 2. That said, though, there's going to be new names to be joining him here as well.
They're stepping in.
At that, we have our next players moving on to the stage as well. People that are looking for another World Championship, or their first World Championship under their belts here at the Esports World Cup. Join us after this break, where the round of 8 will continue, and we get ourselves Cure going up against Maru for our next one in this TVT.
We'll see you soon. We'll see you soon after the break. TVT's coming up next. When it comes to the TVT, I'll be honest, this is gonna be a crazy one. I would say, I mean, we'll get into it. We'll get into it after the break. We'll see you guys soon in 6 minutes. There's a lot to discuss, a lot to get into. We'll see you soon for our next quarterfinals match. See you soon, Pappy. See you soon.